Welcome to month 1 of the 2018 Cheshire Quilters Guild Block of the Month. We're going to be making the New England Star, which we're going to start by drawing lines on the back of our rectangle. We want to split this into 6 squares. And then after we get the 6 squares drawn, we want to draw in the diagonals just as is shown in the diagram. I'll be back when I get my lines drawn. Alright, I have my lines drawn. I have a diagonal through those 2 squares, this square, this square, and this square. And I want you to notice the way in which I follow the lines. And that's the same order in which I'm going to stitch. I'm going to stitch down this long diagonal, turn, stitch up this diagonal, turn, stitch that diagonal, turn, stitch that diagonal, and then I'll turn it again and stitch back the way I came, going off the edge at each one of the sides. I'll be back when I have that done. Now, as an easy step, all we need to do is cut along all the lines we drew and separate this into 12 half square triangles. Are going to look like this. Now I'm going to take them over to the ironing board and I'm going to press the seams open to reduce the bulk in our seams. See you back here after I've got them pressed. Here are my half square triangle units, and I want to show you how I trim them. If I'm using a regular ruler, I want one that's got a 45-degree line on it, and I'm going to lay the 45-degree line exactly on the seam. And then I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of fabric sticking out on all 4 sides. I can trim 2 sides, rotate the unit 180 degrees, and then replace my ruler. Now I have 2 sides that line up on the 3.5. My diagonal, I can trim the remaining 2 sides. And there's a perfect half square triangle unit. Another way to do this is to use a Tucker Trimmer 1. For that, we're going to lay the unit in this direction, and we're going to use the side that's for 1/2 inches, and I'm going to lay the 3.5 inch sizing diagonal right along that seam line. And I'm going to check and make sure I've got fabric sticking out on all 4 sides. Again, trim 2 sides, rotate the unit, line up my sides on the 3.5 inch lines, the sizing diagonal again on the seam, and trim. So there you have it, a perfect half square triangle. I'm going to trim up the rest of these and I'll meet you back here. Alright, I have my half square triangles all trimmed up, and I've arranged them in the pattern for the New England Star. Now the next thing is to sew these together in pairs, and so I'll take these in pairs to my sewing machine and sew the 8 pairs together, and then after those pairs are together, then 2 pairs can be sewn together to make a row, and then the rows into the block. I'll show you what the block looks like when I get finished. There you have it, Block 1, New England Star of the 2018 Cheshire Quilters Guild Block of the Month. See you next month when we'll do 2 blocks.